Welcome back to the table of ranking. Today we are ranking the Virtua Fighter series. The only ground rule here is that I'm only counting the fighting games with that really count. I think count in the Virtua Fighter series. So like Virtua Quest or the weird portrait things on Sega Saturn, those won't be counted today. It's the main fighting series, and I'm not going to be counting like every version. Like for Virtua Fighter 4, I'll be doing 4 along with the update version of 4 lumped together. Same thing with 5, and the like 3 other updates will be lumped together into one. Um, I think the only thing I'm going to count separate is like remix and one because they are slightly different, and different ports don't matter either. So like the Saturn version of one um, and the 32X version of one will be the same thing with one exception, and we'll start off with that exception. First off is the only game I don't have an actual copy of right now, and I don't really want one. So to take its place, I'll be using a different game. Uh, the worst one is Virtua Fighter 2 on the Genesis. Virtua Fighter 2 Genesis. I count it because it has a different subtitle and it's like a 2D game. Mortal Kombat 2 and a 32X can take its place and substitute. I'm sorry to put you down here, Mortal Kombat 2 and 32X, but somebody has to fill in. Um, Virtua Fighter 2 on the Genesis is a fucking nightmare. It is just utterly terrible. Up next, we have a game that I don't actually think is terrible. Genesis was the only really bad one here. We have Virtual Fighter Animation on the Game Gear. This game was cool, based on the animated series, the anime, if you will. It did what it could. It definitely worked better than the Genesis version of 2, and it did what it could on the Game Gear. It was pretty impressive, but it is still playing Virtual Fighter on a Game Gear, so I do have to put it pretty low. Um, Beyond that, the next one, I should have sorted these out before I started this episode, and I forgot to, so I'm going to have to like grab them and give them an order as I do this, is Virtua Fighter 3 TB. I don't actually have a case for this. I just have the disc right now. I've never really felt like getting the case for some reason. But, 3TB, the third game in the series, or, it looks like Thirth, but it's 3TB. I think it's 3-team battle. It adds some weird elements with like the ground. There's like elevated sections, makes it really difficult to fight in some stages, and overall, one of the most lackluster Virtual Fighter games, in my honest opinion. Up next, we have this abomination, Virtua Fighter Kids. This is basically just Virtua Fighter 2, but if all the characters were like chibi with big heads. That's why I'm putting it so low. Because like, there's really not a purpose for this. Like, if you have Virtua Fighter 2, you don't really need this. There's no point to own this unless you're just like me and you want to own everything Sega because you're stupid. So that one's kind of lame. Man, this light in here is killing me. There we go. So that one's kind of stupid. Up next, I will have to put, let's see. The original Virtua Fighter. It's the first of its kind, revolutionary 3D fighting game. But going back and playing it, it really does feel like the first 3D fighting game. It's pretty basic. The other games add stuff that this game is sorely lacking. But it is still, it's still highly respected as the first 3D fighting game. And then to follow that up, I will, I'm including this game because I don't think of like it's not its own franchise, and I kind of want to put it in here anyway. I'm gonna throw in Fighting Vipers. It's not really a Virtual Fighter game, but it's the same team and uses the same engine, so it feels like a sister game. And there's actually a game coming up that has the characters in it. This game's interesting. I don't like this game as much as the main Virtua Fighter series, though. I do like the armor system and the breakable stuff. It makes it very unique, but I'm just, like, compared to Virtua Fighter, I just suck at this game, so it's going right there. Next, will have to be Virtua Fighter Remix. This is an updated version of the first game. Fixes some issues, adds stuff in from 2, makes it cool, and really helps this. The Saturn port of 1 was kind of lacking, so this is like the ultimate way to play it. I know I wasn't going to throw in alternate versions, but I don't know. I feel like this could count as its own like half step. This is like 1.5 in a way. So Virtua Fighter Remix definitely goes there. As for what is next, let's see. This is where it gets tough because these last 4 games are all pretty phenomenal. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab this one. This is Virtua Fighter 4. This is the Evolution version, which is updated. Honestly, I would say if you're new to the series, this is where I would get into it with this game. Like I said, it's the updated version. It adds different things. It adds new characters. It actually has a its own remade version of Virtua Fighter 1 included. And overall, it's a really solid fighter. This is one of my favorite fighting games of all time, and we got 3 games left, so that's saying something. What is next? Fuck. This is hard. You know what? I'm gonna have to go ahead and do my boy dirty here in Virtua Fighter 2. This is the classic. This is the one. This is the Virtua Fighter game you probably know, seen, played. But it is lacking in aspects that the other later titles would address, like character roster, stages, different things like that. But it's still a bona fide classic, and you can't disrespect Virtua Fighter 2. It's just a phenomenally fun arcade fighting game. Last 2 games here. Oof. Fuck. Virtua Fighter 5. I've been playing the PS5. Not PS5. Fuck. I guess you could play it on PS5, but the PS4 update, whatever that's called, final remix, final showdown, final fight. I don't know what it's called, but that version. But I still played it a ton on PS3. This game feels a lot like 4, just majorly improved in certain aspects. And I am kind of upset they haven't done a 6th game, but honestly, just updating this game feels almost like enough because this game is so mechanically solid that you don't really need you don't really need it, but I would like a 6th game. So you may be asking, what's the last game, Alex? You've already covered 1 through 5 and some other stuff. Well, this might be cheating, but Fighters Megamix is like one of the best fucking 3D fighting games in my honest opinion. This game mixes Virtua Fighter with Fighting Vipers and a bunch of other Sega properties. Just tons of stuff. This game's phenomenal. It's got a huge ass roster. It's crazy. It's a Saturn exclusive. You can play as the car from Daytona, USA. If you haven't seen it already, I actually own this. Hold on, I actually own this game twice over here. See if I can get it off my shelf. My shelf is a mess. Right here, I think. I actually own this game twice. I own both the North American and Japanese version, and that North American version is not that cheap. So that's saying something that I felt the need to own this game twice for some reason. It's just a phenomenal game. If you haven't seen my review, I did a review, I think back in like 2018 or something. I did a review of this game. I absolutely fucking love this game. So I would be doing a dishonor if I didn't put it at the top of my list. But there's my list. Really only one bad game, which I don't own, is Virtua Fighter Genesis. I played it on compilation, so I don't really need to own that one. But let me know what your rankings of the Virtua Fighter games are. And poor Mortal Kombat 2 on the 32X. I'm sorry, you didn't deserve to be compared to Virtua Fighter 2 Genesis. I'm very sorry. I mean, you're pretty fucking awesome.